We have some Bears news to dive into here as Chicago has made a pair of roster moves here on Monday. Does that mean that the Bears could be signing someone soon? One name in particular really stands out. And then could PJ Walker get cut? And if so, who are some of the top available quarterbacks that remain unsigned at this point in the offseason? All that and more to dive into here. But let's get to the news of the day first. A couple of roster moves made by Ryan Poles. Adrian Colbert has been placed on IR, and tight end Jared Pinkney was waived with an injury designation. So now you have a couple of roster spots open at this point in time. I do want to talk about Adrian Colbert for a second, though, because he was a fringe roster guy. Like, some Bears reporters had him on the right side of the 53-man roster, while others had him at worst as a practice squad candidate. So now with him on IR, that means he stays with the Bears, but he's out for the entire season. Remember, anyone placed on injured reserve before roster cutdown day cannot play this year unless they later get cut and sign with another team. But you look at the Bears safety depth chart with Colbert out of the mix now. Eddie Jackson, Jaquan Brisker, Elijah Hicks, they're going to make this team. I think A.J. Thomas, who I had ahead of Adrian Colbert in terms of my 53-man roster, it's kind of been either Colbert or Thomas, depending on who you ask. I've been higher on Thomas. I think he has better ball skills. I think now he's got the inside track to be safety number 4, but Kendall Williamson may have an outside shot now. If he has a strong week of practice and good preseason game against the Bills, maybe the 7th-round rookie has a chance. Now, I don't think they'll carry 5 safeties. I do think it'll be 4, and I think A.J. Thomas has had a better camp. But now Kendall Williamson, who the Bears at least invested a little bit in as a 7th-round pick, he at least has an outside shot. Now, who do you think gets that final safety spot on the 53? If you think it's A.J. Thomas, type A.J. If you think it's Kendall Williamson, type K.W. I'll lean A.J. Thomas. Had a pick in the first preseason game. Almost had another one on a tip drill in this last game. If he has a strong week, I think he makes the 53. Now, as far as Jared Pinkney goes, he wasn't going to make this team by any means. Steven Carlson's the one guy on the outside looking in that may have a slight chance, but I think Chicago's pretty set at tight end, and quite frankly, I think they've been set at tight end since the day they signed Mercedes Lewis. Cole Kmet's your number 1, Robert Tunyon's your number 2, Lewis is your number 3. I thought Jake Tonjes had a chance to make this team, but he got banged up. They cut him. Chase Allen got cut. Steven Carlson, who got banged up the other day, he's still around, but I think he's probably more of a practice squad candidate. Before we jump to our next news item here on Chicago Bears Now, subscribe to the channel. Our August sub battle with the Raiders Report continues, and it's been a doozy. It's been a back-and-forth ride as the Raiders Report has been our top channel for a while now, and that's why I wanted to challenge you guys, myself, to see if we could beat them in more new subscribers, higher growth this month. They've picked up 1,722 subscribers as we're filming this. We've picked up 1,519. So we're battling. You guys are bringing it. It's been a very, very close race, but can we surpass them by the end of the month? If you want daily content, go ahead and subscribe. Just like our video we put out earlier today. If you want Dalton Reisner on the Chicago Bears, we talked about that. We took a look at some other Tevin Jenkins replacements as well, both internal and external. Subscribe for daily content. Speaking of Dalton Reisner, I think it is worth mentioning again here, even though we talked about it a few hours ago, that he could be a possibility. Why? Well, Tevin Jenkins is injured, but 2, you now have a couple of roster spots open with Colbert going to IR and Pinkney getting cut, so you're down to 88 players, so you've got room to sign someone if you want. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to sign Dalton Reisner. I think if you were going to, it is because of the Tevin Jenkins injury, but there is reason to sign him. He is by far the best guard on the open market. He's a starting quality guard in this league. I think he's only given up 10 sacks in his career over 4 seasons. That's pretty impressive, and right now Jenkins is banged up, so he could plug in as that left guard if you wanted him to. Obviously, Tyree Carter's had a good camp. Leatherwood has as well, so you could just go with one of those options. But there's not really much downside to signing Dalton Reisner, right? Like, what's the downside? You're going to have to spend a little bit more money. Well, you still have $14-15 million in cap space. I think you could structure it where you only take on $2 or $3 million in a cap hit, and maybe you give him incentives based on snaps played to up to $5 or $6 million. I don't think that's a huge risk. When you have extra cap space, you're still going to be able to roll over $8-10+ million depending on how the rest of the season goes. Now, maybe Ryan Poles doesn't want to spend any more money. I don't know, but I think it makes sense to at least take a look at Reisner. Bring him in for a visit. Get the vibe. See what it's like. He visited Minnesota recently. No deal happened. Maybe this is the right opportunity for both parties. BetUS, our sportsbook partner here at Chicago Bears Now, is the place to go to bet on the third preseason game, bet on games during the regular season. Chatsports.com/Bears. Use our promo code BEARDOWN to get a 125% deposit bonus. $100 when you sign up. You'll get an additional $125 for free. And the NFC North odds have shifted, and not in the Bears' favor. Last week, the Packers were at plus 400, I believe, and the Bears were plus 350. Now that shifted a bit. Surely the Tevin Jenkins injury hasn't shifted it this much. I'm not sure. But I like plus 400 to just like throw a little tenor down. I'm not saying the Bears are going to win the North, but I am saying it's possible. I think any of the 4 teams have a chance. And quite frankly, I do think the Packers have the least chance. But we'll see what happens. Chatsports.com/Bears. Promo code BEARDOWN. $10 to win 40 if the Bears win the North. I think that's decent value for you bettors out there. Okay, let's talk about the quarterback. If P.J. Walker plays, your odds plummet to about plus 25,000 to win this division because it has been ugly. He has struggled throughout Bears training camp and in the 2 preseason games. Could he get cut? I mean, really, could he? Well, here are the financials. So his current cap hit, if he makes the team and you do nothing, is $1.66 million. If you cut him, that actually goes up $500,000. Now, I don't think $500,000 is a big deal. That doesn't drastically impact your current or future cap situation, but technically it is a slightly bigger cap hit. Now his cap hit next year is $2.5 million, and dead cap is $500,000. So I think cutting him after this year, regardless, is a very high probability unless he just turns this around and proves to be a high level backup. But you can cut him if you want to. I don't think $400,000 or $500,000 is it's actually only $350,000 now that I'm doing better math here. I don't think it's we don't have $350,000 against the dead cap. Sure you do. You got $15 million in cap space. Now, I'm not saying the money not being an issue is the sole reason to cut him. What I am saying is with the way Tyson Bagent has played, he's making this team. Now, on the flip side of that, Bagent is the only backup on the 53. That feels a little bit risky because we've seen a few good drives in the preseason. I love the kid. He plays quick. He processes well, but he's an undrafted rookie. P.J. Walker has played in this league. So if Ryan Poles comes to the decision, or Luke Getsy, whoever, and they're like, we can't keep this guy, it's a disaster. Okay, fine. But keeping Bagent as your only backup, that feels risky. I would have to think that you're at least exploring some other scenario where another quarterback's in the fold. Now, maybe that scenario is Peterman's on the practice squad, and if things go awry, you can elevate him. That could be an option. But I do think keeping Walker and Bagent is a scenario still. In a minute, though, we'll take a look at some free agent quarterbacks just to see if any of those wet your beak, if you will. So what say you? Are you comfortable with only Fields and Bagent on the 53-man? I think Bagent's outperformed Walker. I think he's a better quarterback than Walker. But there are things P.J. Walker provides as a backup that Bagent simply does not. Experience. He's played with DJ Moore, obviously. There are other things that matter here. Type Y for yes. Type in for no. I'm cool with Bagent. He needs to be on the 53. Only backup, though, that at least causes hesitation, in my opinion. But if it's him or Walker, it's definitely Bagent. I'll put that out there right now. Now, for those who are out there, Carson Wentz, from a pure playing standpoint, yeah, he's better than P.J. Walker. I don't think there's any doubt, but he still is not very good, and I'm not sure he's a guy I'd want to bring in. In fact, I'll say it right now, I do not want Carson Wentz. Matt Ryan has left the door open to returning. I know he's with CBS Sports right now, but he said for the right situation he would play. I don't think he's a viable option for this team. Chase Daniel, he's been here before. He's been a decent backup in this league if you wanted to bring him in. Joe Flacco, I don't think anyone wants Nick Foles and wants to go down that road again. But, yeah, good options aren't out there. Now, could someone get cut? Marcus Mariota's had a poor camp. I know, we're saying that about P.J. Walker, but is Mariota better than P.J. Walker? Probably, although I don't think Mariota's very good at this point in his career. He certainly isn't if he gets cut because the Eagles gave him $5 million guaranteed. So, I don't know. I still feel like the more realistic option is that you keep Walker and Bagent. But if the Bears cut Tyson Bagent and he gets claimed by another team, that is just a flat-out mistake by Ryan Poles. There's no way around it, which is why I don't think it'll happen. I think Bagent will make the 53. The question is it as the third quarterback or as with P.J. Walker as the 2, or as the backup if you're cutting P.J. Walker? All right, that's going to do it for our news and rumors roundup here on Chicago Bears Now. Hit that subscribe button. Let's take down the Raiders report in the month of August. Make it a competition. Challenge yourselves. I would appreciate it. Love all the support we've gotten already. See you soon.